Well, hello there. Roger Connect, President of Universal Accounting Center. I'm excited to actually be with you today. I'm hoping that you've come here with the intent of taking some very good notes and, most importantly, learn things that you can use to either start or build your successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax practice. One of the things that we're going to be doing today is actually covering a variety of topics. But before I start, I do need to apologize. My colleague, Scott McKinley, was expected to be here. I intended him to be here, and I wish he were here, but he ended up going on vacation last week, and unfortunately in his travels went to the East Coast, got a tick, and has become sick. So he is not doing well right now. I expect him to have a speedy recovery, and I expect he will do just fine, but he right now is not doing well. So rather than have him join us and look pale-faced and miserable, or actually have his slides as we intended to have to share and me go through them without him being here to participate, you've got me. And I intend to share with you a variety of things today that'll be worth your while. But as I go through this, one of the things that I want to do is just point out that the intent of this is literally as we said or proposed it should be. What are the 6 steps you need to build your profitable accounting firm? What are those 6 things you need to ensure and be aware of to make it so that you're actually building the practice that you can be proud of and have always wanted to have? So as we go through this process, my intent is to give you a bit of information for you to write down and share. But I'm going to begin, first of all, with a little bit of history of Universal Accounting. Recently, I've been asked by a few individuals, who is Universal? What is it that we do? And I thought I'd just begin by sharing it. And then from that, lead into what are those things that you need to be doing in your firm. So let me start with Universal Accounting. For those of you who don't know, we began in 1979. So this is quite a few years ago. And when we started in 1979, the background or the impetus of it all is as follows. There was a gentleman by the name of Alf Bostrom, and he was known in a few business markets on the West Coast in California, Arizona, and Utah as what's called the Turnaround King. That was kind of a nickname that he had, as I've heard it. And even hearing him explain it or others explain it, it's basically he was going into clients and helping them turn their businesses around. And as he went through this process of working with a variety of companies, he found that the biggest thing, the most important thing he needed in order to make the proper decisions in the business were the accounting numbers. He needed to know where the money was coming from, where it was going, what was that cash flow. And it was from that information he could make the business decisions that needed to be made to turn a number of these clients around. And some of them even exist still today, which is great. So the point is he would go into these clients, and as he began working with them, he would go up to the people that needed to have the accounting information, who should know the numbers, and he found oftentimes that they didn't. Whether it be the administrative person that was being asked to do the role, or whether it be somebody that had a 2-year, 4-year degree in accounting, they just never had the numbers he needed, either the correct numbers or the timeliness of the numbers to make the decisions that needed to happen within the business. And so as he worked with his various clients, he found that there was a need to go in and train them each. And one of the things he was trying to do is train them the same way so that they could each give him the same information so that he could run the businesses similarly. And for those of us who are obviously familiar with accounting, you understand numbers are numbers. They are the language of business. And so regardless of the industry or the profession, as long as the numbers are coming in a familiar way, you can make intelligent business decisions. So the way this actually evolved is in the early 70s, he was going about working with these clients, and he developed a curriculum that he would go in with his clients to present, that he would use to teach his accountants. And as he taught them, this curriculum developed. And he found that in short order, he had individuals that were not clients of his, but who were aware of this training that he was doing with his clients, that asked, hey, I've got some employees, I'd like them to go through your training and help me get the numbers I need to run our business. And so obviously, being the entrepreneur that he is, Alf Bostrom decided, well, by darn, I'm going to start a school. So he began the school, Universal Accounting, years ago with the intent of helping small businesses understand what are the numbers that they need to be watching and how should they be using the numbers to manage their business. Well, that curriculum grew and developed, and as it grew over the years, we started working with a number of accounting firms that they were using the information to train their staffs or to manage their clients and work with their clients, because so many firms at the time were actually going out and servicing clients, but you kind of did it from the hip. You shot from the hip. You were taking the college training that many received in their degrees that was preparing them to work for large corporations and adapting it to the small business owner, to the small client. And so what we did in the 80s and everything is we really perfected what that business model ought to look like from an accounting perspective for small businesses, whether you're an employee working in the accounting process or you were a firm doing bookkeeping, accounting services. Well, obviously, we really took off and started working quite a bit with individuals that were starting and building their practices, and in that process became quite successful in helping people start and build firms, primarily here in the United States and in Canada. That is where our lion's share of students lie. That is where they do what they do. And just to give it some context, we did actually start, obviously, with the bookkeeping as I described. What is it that needs to take place in a business with the day-to-day transactions of the accounting? But what we also then expanded into was, admittedly, like I would imagine most of you with your firms would do, is taxes, offering tax training. We also got into software training, particularly QuickBooks. And as we evolved, adding to our curriculum these various courses that we offered, we got to the point where we were able to then, as a post-secondary school, begin offering certifications and offer designations within the accounting profession. So as many as you may be aware, the secret to success, and we're going to cover this a little bit later, the secret is really your confidence and competence. And the competence is coming from your skill set, knowing properly how to do these things for your clients in a profitable way. And that's what the professional bookkeeper program that we have does for you. That's what the professional tax preparer program does, the QuickBooks specialist training program that we offer, and so forth. So as you look at the various courses that we provide, it's all with the intent of helping you, the small business accountant, bookkeeper, tax preparer, better service your clients and do so in a profitable way. Because when you're more efficient with your processes and procedures, you're able to make more money providing those processes and procedures for your clients. And so that's quite key. So this brings me now to the topic of discussion of what are these 6 steps to build your profitable accounting firm. And so what I'm going to do here is go through a variety of things that I feel you need to be aware of. I believe I have the 6 here. And I say that because the way I'm organized, I don't know that I'm going to necessarily point them out as they should be mentioned. And so forgive me if I just don't say, and number 2 is, but here we go. Let's get started. The first thing that you need to be able to do to have a profitable business is you need to be able to take the leads that you're generating, the contacts that you're generating, and turn them into billable clients. The first thing that you need to be able to do is you need to walk the walk and talk the talk and portray the image of an accountant or bookkeeper. Now, I say that cautiously because, honestly speaking, if you went back, let's say 15 years ago, I literally would have said that you needed to wear the suit and tie, you needed to look professional, you needed to basically portray the image of an accountant or bookkeeper. And obviously today that's no longer the case. When I started working for Universal Accounting 20 years ago, I honestly came to work every single day of the week through Friday wearing a suit and tie every day. Now you can see today I'm not obviously wearing a suit nor a tie. So that's changed. The profession has changed to allow that kind of a dress code. But still, regardless, you need to look like the accountant, the bookkeeper. There were some studies done recently, and what they found is that when you don't physically portray the image of your profession, people begin to question your abilities in the profession. And so one of the things that we need to do is, as you're in the process of turning your leads into monthly billable clients, is portray the image that is expected of an accountant or bookkeeper. Have good hygiene, be clean cut, be professional. The second thing that I want to stress is in turning your leads to billable clients is you need to have a sales process. Too often, as accountants, that's not generally our strength. And so what we want to do is not just meet and be referred to individuals, but we need to have what's called a sales funnel. The sales funnel is what's the first thing you want to be doing with the client? What is it that you want to ask of a potential contact? What is it that you want to give to a potential contact? What is this sales funnel that they're going to experience as they've been introduced to you? And so as you go through your sales process, I want you to sit down and identify what are the 3 things that any and everyone that is exposed to you experiences. Do they receive an email? Do they receive a phone call? Do they receive a text message? What is it that if I were first introduced to you and you explained that your services are X, Y, and Z, and that you do accounting, what could I anticipate then my experience to be in the coming days and weeks as you slowly integrate yourself into my familiarity, that I'm aware of you and interested in you, so that you can start tugging on my trigger points and offer solutions to some of the troubles I might be feeling as a business owner. So the process of turning leads into billable clients is literally a conscious effort. And now what you're going to do with that sales funnel is you're going to identify with those steps how people are progressing. In other words, you met 100 people, you met 50 people. How many of them get to stage 1, to stage 2, to stage 3? And after you've got a few months of, you've put 10 people into the funnel and 5 did this, and then 3 did this, and then 1 did this, the challenge that you're going to want to face is looking at it over a quarter or a semi-annual period is, what can I do to improve this process? Not enough people are moving from step 1 to step 2. What can I do to improve that? So rather than just emailing them, rather than just calling them, maybe I need to mail them something. Maybe I need to go to their office and visit with them. And my point is you have to basically take this process and put a system to it. Too much of the sales process in the accounting firms is haphazard. It's just literally I've met, I'm out networking, I'm out talking to people, people are being referred to me, and I'm creating this list of contacts, but I'm not doing anything with them. Be conscious in your marketing efforts. You need to be clear, and you need to be tracking. We like numbers anyways. How many people did we meet this month? How many people went to step 1, step 2, step 3? It doesn't need to be too lengthy, but you do need to be concise there. The next thing that I want you to do is, in your marketing, I want you to consciously figure out what are the 3 things that are unique to your practice. Why, if you were introduced or side by side with another accountant, why would you stand out? How are you different? Is it the industries that you work with that are unique? Is it the services that you're providing that are unique? Is it the emphasis that you give in the accounting experience, meaning how you engage with the client, that's unique? And what those unique features are, you need to then spin them to benefits and be able to articulate them in your marketing as to what it is that makes you special. So, for example, think of your 30-second commercial. When someone asks what you do, in 30 to 60 seconds, can you concisely share what it is you're helping clients achieve or accomplish? What makes their experience with you special? So one of the things that we've taught for years, and many of you may be familiar with this, is the line of which we help our clients actually lower taxes, increase revenue, and keep money in the bank. So it's not just I do their books, I take care of their books, I do taxes. It's not the process, it's not the features, it's what do? I help my clients increase their profits, improve their revenues, and keep money in the bank. And there's ways in which you can literally do that from an accounting point of view. Well, when your client hears that you help them increase revenues, improve profits, keep money in the bank, it behooves the question of, well, that's interesting. I never heard of an accountant that helps me keep money in the bank. What does that mean? Improve profits. How do you do that? And then that's the thing you're hoping for, is that conversation to be, well, let's meet. I'd be happy to learn a little bit more about your business. And more importantly, I'll happily answer your questions and share with you what it is that we do. Now, the next thing I want you to understand with regards to your turning your leads into billable clients is you need to actually have a simplified way of pricing your services. Now, I'm not going to take the time here to get into the different variations of it. There's valued pricing, there's flat rate pricing, there's hourly billing. There's a variety of things that you can do, and we definitely want to address them, and there are right ways to do this. But my point at this point is to simply turn your leads into billable clients. You've got to have a consistent way of doing your billing, and you need to be very clear as to why it is what it is and how it's of benefit to the client, why you prefer to do it that way, and how your clients benefit from your doing it that way. That being said, your sales process is easier because you're not hemming and hawing over what it is you're going to offer them and why. You're able to more concisely and clearly explain, this is what I do for my clients, and this is what it will cost, and here's why. I look forward to working with you. So what I'm trying to share with you is the first thing to turning your leads into billable clients is you have to have a sales process. Now, the second thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're targeting specific industries. We want to be sure that in our marketing, we're being a little bit more purposeful or direct in what we're trying to accomplish. And so let me just kind of share with you a few things here. You've got in your marketing efforts, I'm sure, some networking things you're doing, advertising that you're doing. You've probably been testing a variety of things. That's all wonderful and dandy, but who's it targeting to? Who's it for? Well, admittedly, I think you're looking for small business owners. How big of a client base? Geographically, do you care where they are? Are you doing anything remote? These types of things need to be considered, but what are the industries that you need to be focusing on? What are some of the industries that would be worth your giving some time and attention to? Well, the first thing I want you to do is consider these businesses, food businesses. They tend to actually have, whether they're catering or they're fast food or restaurant, they tend to have quite a few transactions, all of which need to be recorded, and they generally run with margins such that they need your help from an accounting point of view to understand what it is that they are profiting and where is it coming from. So food service businesses are great to get as clients. They didn't get into business because they were looking for ways to justify doing accounting. That's not what they're trying to do. So to offboard it to you, to pay you to do that service is great, and that's wonderful. The next one that you want to consider looking at is when you're actually looking at clients, is you want to look at some businesses that are actually in the apparel industry. So for example, imagine going into a retail shop that has children's clothes or infants' clothes. There are some of these that are consignment shops. All of these have a lot of transactions, and they have a lot of variables to the profit and loss. And so what we want to do is recognize that as a business, they're needing our services. And so we want to leverage that to your marketing and basically gear some of your marketing programs around food and apparel. The next one that you want to be considering is that of manufacturing. They're harder to identify, but in some cities, you actually have areas of the city, because of zoning, that are actually manufacturing companies. And what they have is they have a lot of parts. They have a lot of inventory. They have a lot of things that are job costing associated. So what we want to do is we want to recognize that in the accounting world, you have a lot to offer them, because what's happening is, as a business, they've got an entire process that, when not done correctly, can jeopardize the business model. And so we want to be able to target manufacturing type businesses. The next would be construction. Oftentimes these people are laborers, even though the general contractors are a little bit more business savvy because of their training and licensing. Many of these individuals deal with trying to run their own businesses, especially as subcontractors through their own personal accounts. They could really benefit from the training and advice that we can provide. And so construction companies, laborers, contractors, those are very good. And then the last one that I want to throw in here is nonprofits. You may think of perhaps a church or something. These are businesses that they realize the accounting is going to be different than what most of them would expect, only because they're a nonprofit. And so to go in there and help them through a few of the nuances is something that can be easily presented in your marketing to explain that that's something that you specialize in. Now, I share with you these right now only because I want you to understand that as an accounting firm, you could choose to actually specialize and have as a niche a certain market you go after. Right now, rather than taking the niche approach, what I would suggest you do is just understand what the nuances of each of these industries are, so that in your marketing you can appeal to them. And what the hope is that as your marketing materials, your website, whatever you're using to convey your features and benefits, you can then tailor them to these particular industries. It also helps you in your networking to say what it is you're looking for, to say specifically, I'm looking for an owner of this type of a company, this type of a business. I've had successes in these types of industries. Here's a story I can share with you. Anything you can do there from an industry point of view would be great. But what this then allows you to do is, because you've identified which you want to go after, whether it be the apparel industry, the food service industry, and you can narrow that down to catering, to fast food, to restaurant, but you've got the manufacturing, the construction, you've obviously got the nonprofits that I mentioned. You can break those down even further. You can take the food, for example, as I've already said, and go after specifically restaurants, or you can go to types of restaurants. You can actually, with the construction, go into framers or masons or plumbers. So there's definitely a lot of niches in there that you can go after. But here's where I want to take you next, is that you need to become familiar with the vocabulary that in that industry. Start to find what are some of the uniquenesses that they have in their profession that you can speak to intelligently. And that would then allow you in your marketing to tailor what you're saying as a message to what they're wanting to hear or would expect to hear. Now, with that, one of the things that I also want to stress is you then have the ability to then target those industries through the associations they participate in, where it is that they go for their expertise. And if you can integrate yourself there, that would be great. We've got a wonderful story that I won't get into too much detail other than to say this particular accountant chose to go into the profession, and in targeting a certain association, found that they could actually offer a lot there. So they went and got a booth. Well, as a booth at the trade show, they were the only accountant there. They spoke very intelligently of what it is that they can do for the profession. So what they ended up doing is in the coming year ended up speaking at the event, and in time became the one who did the keynote for the association. Who's in there competing with them? Nobody else has a booth for them. So if you have something because of your previous work experience or maybe because of your upbringing that allows you to go into a specific industry and go get a booth or start talking to them as an association, I literally feel that you'll then be able to specialize in that and then charge more for your services. So the next thing that I wanted to do is share with you how I feel that the competency plays into this. Sometimes what we have is conversations about whether or not someone needs to be degreed a certain way, certified a certain way, a CPA, an EA. So here's where I'd like to go. The secret to success in growing your business and retaining clients is definitely the confidence and competence components. The confidence to look a business owner in the eye, to be able to say with confidence, I can do your books, I can take care of you, I can have this information to you in a timely way, I can give this to you in a way that you can then use this information to make intelligent business decisions. So that confidence is the body language to simply say, I can do this for you, and they then believe that you can. But the competence then is to do exactly what it is you said you would do, to have the skill set to then perform the work. And it's not just do the work, but to do it effectively and efficiently. I'm not arguing whether or not you can do 2 + 2, but it's how fast can you do it? That's where the technologies come in. That's where your ability to master what's out there as tools becomes critical, because the faster you can do the work, the less time it takes you to do the work, the more money you make servicing these clients. And so the competency becomes key, utilizing the tools in our profession, the software programs, the third-party vendors, the processes of how you go through doing the work that determine whether or not you're going to be successful in this profession, only because of the fact that your ability to do the work isn't the question, it's the competency in being able to do it efficiently and profitably. Now, with regards to services, let's just point this out. There's first and foremost a confusion in the profession, and then secondly, out in the business world, that maybe you need to be a CPA or an EA. And I want to real quickly try and dispel this as best I can. For years, I have asked CPAs, accountants, degreed individuals this simple question: tell me the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant. What's the difference between the two? And I've amazed myself asking that question as to the variety of answers I get. What is the right answer? And so I'm just real quickly going to share this with you because I think it'll help you in your marketing to more intelligently answer to your potential clients what the distinction is. And so let's be perfectly clear. And I will put a little asterisk here. There is something that should be known. There are a few states out there in the United States that do regulate the term or use of the word accountant. They don't regulate the word accounting, but they do regulate the word accountant. And so there are some states where they've, through lobbying, been able to say that unless you're a CPA, you can't use the word accountant to describe yourself. Well, as an asterisk, let's just set that aside for a moment. For the sake of this discussion, let's just focus on bookkeeping and accounting services. First of all, bookkeeping is literally the process of taking the transactions, recording them, and preparing the financial statements, the income, the balance sheet. That's what you're doing here. And so if you're, as a business, trying to offer services where you're going to the clients and saying, look, I'll take the transactions that you're preparing, that you're doing, I will record them and prepare for you every month, every quarter, the P&L, the financials. Okay, that's great and dandy. All you're doing is bookkeeping services. I don't care if you are a 4-year, 6-year degreed CPA. If that's all you do for your clients, I hate to break it to you, you're just doing bookkeeping services. But what an accountant does, or what accounting is taking then those financial reports and sitting down with the client and explaining what's happening, showing trends, showing that quarter over quarter, this month over last month, this year over last year. Here are the trends. Here are the things that are getting different. Here are the ratios. Here's how your ratios are changing or improving. Here are the things that are impacting your business this year as opposed to last year. Accounting is the interpretation of the accounting information. If you are not sitting down with your clients on a regular basis, which I would suggest is monthly, arguably monthly, then you're doing the accounting if you're having that conversation. If you're not having that conversation and simply delivering, preparing those reports, you're doing bookkeeping. And in doing the accounting process, I want you to understand that when you market and sell your services, be clear which it is that you're doing. Set the right expectation. Because if I've been expecting accounting services and you give me bookkeeping services, realize at the end of the day, I'm frustrated as a client and you're not going to retain me. But I can over deliver if I'm telling I'm doing bookkeeping services and I actually start providing accounting services. I'm getting a good bang for my buck. I'm getting more information than I expected. I'm more intelligently able to run my business. That is all wonderful. Now, the next thing that I want to point out is there is a lot to be said about tax. You can do tax preparation. That's wonderful. Once a year, get all the numbers, prepare the returns. That's great. But there's also tax planning. Tax planning is essential within business. Are these business owners leveraging the tax code to their benefit to where they're actually now able in their company to strategically use the tax code for their gain? And I don't mean that they're not paying taxes. I just mean that they're leveraging their revenues as best they can to grow their company. Now, as for tax planning and preparation, there is a distinction. I know too many tax preparers out there that don't like the planning, don't like meeting with the clients. They like to crunch the numbers, and that's their expertise. But if you want to be someone who offers tax planning and tax preparation services, you need to advertise accordingly, and you need to explain yourself as doing those services. But are you truly doing the planning? Are you meeting with the client after taxes have been prepared in the second or third quarter to go over, here's what happened last year and why, and here are some of the things you can be doing differently this year and why and how? And then do you meet with them in the fourth quarter to make sure the suggestions you gave them in the second or third quarter, were they implemented, were they done, and are there any changes or things that need to be done before the end of the year, for example, or what things do they need to be prepared for going into the tax season? Are those meetings happening with your clients? And if you are, then you're doing tax preparation and planning. That's great. So here's the next thing. Regarding competence, one of the things that I want to now emphasize is having attended these last 2 years, many of the accounting conferences, AccountX, Sage, Scaling New Heights. When you go to these accounting conferences, one of the things that I will tell you is that they've been doing for the last few years a great deal of effort of trying to say the accounting profession is changing and has changed. Present tense, it's over, it's done, and you need to be aware of it. And so if you're not currently as an accounting service offering not just the preparation of the reports, but more consultative services, more advisory services, you're missing out. The technology is such that with the different programs and software packages out there and third-party services, a lot of the accounting is going to be automated, if not already automated for your clients. And so because it's automated, their dependency on our services, your work to enter the transactions, to prepare the reports is becoming less and less necessary. What's becoming more and more relevant is now your interpretation of the data. And so one of the 6 things that you need to understand to be profitable is, are you adding to your services a billable service of I do accounting, advising, and consulting. And here's what I'd like to share with you. Too many times in my meeting with business owners, because we also do have clients, that when they actually look at their financials, they don't understand the numbers. They don't know why the number is what it is. They don't know how that number is derived. They don't know the correlation between that number and another number. And so the numbers don't speak to them. They don't resonate. They don't tell a story to them. But yet when you and I sit down and look at the numbers, it starts to speak to us. We see things. We see ratios. We see correlations. And those numbers, because we see these various numbers throughout our day and in our career, it tells us things. It tells us this is a concern, this is a good thing, this is a bad thing, pay attention to this. Well, what they're looking for us to do is, in fact, communicate that to them so that they can be more aware and more intelligent in their business making decisions. So let me share with you a story. Have a client of mine went through, and this is something that I literally was just dealing with today with this particular client. He had hired a CPA, a retired CFO who was a CPA, retired, and this particular woman was doing their books for nearly a year. And he trusted, because she was looking at the books, that she would tell him if anything was needing attention. And he, not being familiar with the accounting, chose not to see the reports, didn't look at the reports. And when I took him on as a client and we started doing some work with him, she left. And I don't think it was because of us. She had a family member, a grandchild that had health issues, and she felt she needed to spend time with this grandchild to actually help them out. So she said. We find out when she leaves and he needs to go find someone else to do the books, that when we get somebody else in to do the books who happens to also be a CPA with an audit background, comes in, he realizes the books are a mess. Nothing makes sense. All the transactions are not being recorded properly. The accounting is a disaster. And again, this was a CPA that had done it. He comes in and he starts to get into it, and he's into it a few weeks, and then he has a situation where he cannot do it anymore. And at that point, he says, here's this sheet with a list of all the things that need to take place to clean up your books because the numbers aren't accurate and right. And I'm not available because I've got to leave the state and go deal with this thing with my family. So a second family issue, which is all right, coincidence, I guess. Well, that's where I get into the picture, and I'm in there now looking at the numbers, and I cannot tell you how much of a disaster it was. And here's the kicker. The kicker is that the business owner, trusting and believing that the numbers were right, wasn't asking questions, didn't know what questions to ask, therefore kind of avoided the topic, and because they didn't understand how to use the numbers in the business, chose to not look at them to make business decisions. Well, I'm now in there looking at the numbers, helping clean up the books. We're looking at the data, finding out that it's horrible, and more importantly, I'm educating him at this point as to exactly what those numbers mean and why they're so alarming. Well, this is only possible with the accounting. And I have to tell you right now, the gratitude that the business owner has and other clients that I've done this with is immense, because finally it's as if I've taken something that's in a foreign language, and I myself, being the interpreter, have helped them now understand and use these numbers in a way that they're making more intelligent business decisions in their own companies. They feel empowered, they feel emboldened, and they feel more certain with what it is they're doing, because it's no longer a guessing game. And so that's one of the things that you need to bring to your clients, is that peace of mind that they're hoping for. So with regards to your business, the next thing that you need to be writing down is you need to be identifying what of your services are profitable. Now, you may be doing bookkeeping, you may be doing the accounting, you may be doing the consulting, you may be doing payroll. I don't know what your services are, but as standalone things, are they profitable? And if they are profitable, what else could you add to the mix that would allow you to service your clients further, to have them pay you more for the work you're doing? And one of the things that I'd like to then bring up here is the idea of you're becoming a profit and growth expert. It's where you're taking now with your clients a proactive approach to the accounting model. It's where you're not reactive and helping them just record and document what's happening in the business and produce the reports to say historically, here's the document that says what happened. What we want to do is be more strategic and more proactive and more forward thinking with the accounting model, and actually leverage some of the additional services that you can be doing. When you become a profit and growth expert, you actually have a mind shift. You change your perspective of how the client is using the accounting information. What you do is you start to put yourself into a mindset of, I'm here to make sure that they avoid the mines, that they don't get blindsided in their business. I'm going to be not necessarily the bearer of good and bad news. I'm going to be the bearer of information so that I'm telling them before they tell me. And when you get your business to the point where your accounting services are actually helping them run their business more effectively, helping them proactively make decisions, that's powerful. So as a profit and growth expert, there are two big things that you want to consider using in your business, and it's that of becoming a profit first professional, literally working with your clients to ensure that the profit in the business is not by chance. It's not the last thing that we're crossing our fingers and hoping to see and realize. It's literally something that is purposeful. It's on the top of the mind, and it's what it's intentionally being done. And with profit first strategies, things that you do in the business from an accounting point of view to not leave it to chance, you're able to ensure that your client is more at peace with their business. The second thing that you're able to do is build value in the company, become a value builder provider. And this is a certification and a training that enables you to focus in on the 8 key things that determine the value of the business. And why these are so complementary to your services is because they're each based on the accounting model. They're each based on the very thing that you're dealing with on a day-to-day, month basis for your clients. And so these additional services beyond the accounting, the tax, these things then bring in additional revenue, but further engage you with your client. So it enables that client retention that we're all looking for, what it is that they need us for. And as you're able to get one more finger into the business model, they become that much more dependent upon you and your services. Now, the next thing that I'd like to actually share with you are some marketing strategies that you can be using to complement what you're already doing today. And I don't know if it's something that you're already doing, but just realize that you've got here seminars that you can be doing in your business. The seminars that you're doing, what you want to do is just recognize that the seminars you're offering happen to be seminars that enable you to be the expert. Now, with Universal Accounting, one of the things that we've done with our students is actually help them run their businesses, or your firms, your practices, in a way that in your community you're seen as the expert. You're doing things that actually put you in the public limelight, and because of that enable you to actually, as a business owner, run your business in such a way that you're now the expert. Remember I said profit and growth expert? Well, when you're doing a seminar, oftentimes what happens is the business owners will come to you with the intent to learn a topic or a concept. They come, hear you as the expert. They recognize that in the seminar you taught them what they need to do and why they need to do it, but the how they need you for. And because of that, they then say, I need to pay you to do the work because I'm an expert at what I do, Mr. and Miss Business Owner. I do my company well because I know the product or service we're doing, but I don't do what you're saying I need to do well, so I'm going to pay you to do it for me instead. And so that's one of the key things that I'd like to stress and emphasize. Now, the other thing that I want to do, and I'm wanting to just kind of put this in here because I think it's perhaps the obvious, is your networking. In networking, you need to recognize that you, in networking your business, need to stress or emphasize that you are the expert. So whether you're choosing to go to certain networking groups such as chambers or B&I groups, there's a variety of them out there. But when you go, do you stand out as that expert? Same is said for social media. This isn't going to be a lengthy discussion regarding social media, but I will tell you that regardless of the platform you're choosing to use, whether it be Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, whichever platform, are you portraying yourself to be that expert that they would expect you to be? So it's sometimes hard, depending on how you're developing your practice, to distinguish between your firm and you. But sometimes that's necessary. Other times there's just gray area. You're both. You're one and the same. And so you just want to recognize in your marketing that you can be leveraging your networking as well as your social media. The next thing that I wanted to bring up here is with regards to your marketing, some of the things that you can do to distinguish yourself as being different. First and foremost, obviously, any certifications, designations, any education you have that allows you to stand out from the competition is helpful because you're able to say then in those areas you're an expert. The next thing that you want to be able to do with regards to your marketing to stand out from the rest is you want to be able to say what the benefits are that your clients receive with your services. What is it that you uniquely do for clients that the other accountant or bookkeeper doesn't currently provide or offer? Now, part of this, especially if you have staff, is to be able to then also leverage those certifications, designations, or educations that you have. Now, the next thing you want to be able to do is, with regards to your marketing, is you want to be able to then show how it is that they can apply what it is you do in their business so that they can be more profitable, more successful. And that's where it leads me to be able to say that you've got your profit first professional, you've got your value building type services that, if you chose to go that route, allows you to move, as really the market is for the accounting profession, away from doing the transactional work and doing more of the consultative work. And in all honesty, that is where the money is. The transactional work, the bookkeeping work, is becoming more commoditized, and therefore it's becoming more price sensitive. The consultative services is where you're going to actually find that you have much more flexibility in your pricing of services, and your margins are much better. And really at that point, you're leveraging your time and your expertise. So many of you have 10, 15, 20, 25 years of experience, perhaps even in certain industries, that you're able to leverage as you're going out there and marketing what it is you do. So if you're in a position where you're now able to do more consultative work, you're able to take and leverage the experiences that you've accumulated over the years to your client's benefit. So here's where I kind of want to wrap these things up. With regards to your business, I want you to understand that starting or building your firm, you need to have a sales funnel. You need to have a process that you're going to use that is actually designed to implement or put people into and then flow them through a process. And you need to be able to track who's going through that process and doing well. The second thing that you want to be able to do with your practice is, knowing what that process is emphasize your benefits, what it is that you're doing for your clients, and what niches you perhaps bring to the table. The other thing that you want to be able to do is then strategize with your competence the skills and the services that you're providing. What are those things that you're offering your clients, whether it be bookkeeping, accounting, consultative service, tax planning, tax preparation? What services are you offering that allow you to be distinguished as different from the other accounting services in the area? And that's where I brought up the concept of becoming a profit and growth expert. It's being more proactive with your clients, helping them utilize the information you give, and being that interpreter that you need to be. The next is obviously in your networking, in your social media, using things where you can be seen in your area as the expert, the resident expert, the person that everyone goes to, and it's engaging within your community and participating. Now, the last thing I want to do as we kind of tie this up is I want to bring this full circle as to what it is that you can do to build a profitable practice. And it's where, working with Universal Accounting Center, we've for so many years now, more than 35 years, worked with accountants, bookkeepers, consultants, tax preparers, all trying to either start or build practices so that they can help the business community, so that they can do what it is that they love, that you love, that we love doing. Numbers are interesting in the sense that I think when you're in this profession, you just have a different appeal to them. Well, when you're out there marketing your services, why do it alone? When you work with Universal Accounting, when you enroll, become a student of one or more of our programs, you actually receive more than just the curriculum. One of the things that I want to emphasize here, and I can't stress it enough, is the value of our coaches, the experts that we've basically found to assist you in your building and growing your business. Imagine working with a specific individual with an expertise, with a familiarity of what it is you're going through, having done it themselves, having a practice of their own for the next 12 to 18 to 24 months, where they literally are a phone call and email away, and you're able to then work with them to build your practice. That's what we're talking about. At Universal Accounting Center, it's not so much just the curriculum, the training, the testing, the designations that you can receive, but it's the support, the coaching, basically the accountability. Anytime you work with a coach, anytime a professional, a true professional, recognizes that their success is their ability to get an outside perspective on their skill set, Anytime you bring a coach in, they're going to help you identify things that you're overlooking, that you're missing. They're going to help you in identifying what are the priorities, what is it that needs to be done next, and most importantly, they're going to help you get it done quicker than you would have done otherwise. So coaching is a phenomenal thing that enables you to accelerate your success and maximize your success. I work with a coach. I have a coach for our business. I employ and work with coaches that work with our students. I can't say enough about the coaching process in helping someone succeed. Anyone that's truly successful is in fact working with a coach. So here's where I want to go with this. You'll notice that on the screen, you have the ability to actually schedule a one-on-one appointment with Scott McKinley. Although he is not here, although he's not sharing in this conversation, he was intended to be here, and the intent was to have him share with you what it is that you need to be doing in your practice in order to grow your business. And so what I want to do is emphasize for you this opportunity for you to schedule an appointment to talk to him one-on-one. Share with him your unique situation. We're all individuals here. So what is it that's unique about you? Where are you at? What's your experience and background? What are you trying to accomplish? How quick do you need to achieve it? And in that time, he'll actually find out not only about you and what it is you need to be doing, but what are those things that are unique to your achieving that success. It's very possible that there are specific things you ought to be doing that he can then enable you to see and perhaps even implement. The beauty of it is Scott McKinley and our other coaches actually work with students basically around the country here in the United States and Canada. They're working with people. Scott McKinley is quite unique in the fact that I have him traveling around the country in Canada nearly on a weekly basis. He's going out to certain markets, meeting with certain individuals, finding out what's working in those markets. He's at the same time helping them implement strategies for themselves. All of this is being done with the intent to remain relevant. We are fully aware of what's happening within the market. We've been doing this now since 1979, and those expertises that we have are there to help you build your business. So with all of that in mind, understand this. Your opportunity to speak with Scott McKinley one-on-one is a special opportunity. It's something you ought to take advantage of. We're making that a possibility here. I intended to do that today and apologize for his not being here. But again, as I shared at the very beginning, the man is sick, and so let's give him a reprieve. But it doesn't exclude your ability to speak with him and get his insights from this, because one of the things that he also can bring to this discussion is the individual experiences of so many of our students that are actually experiencing this today. What those students were that experienced it last year and the successes that they were able to accomplish. So with all that in mind, I want to just kind of wrap this up as we're winding down here to explain that there are specific things that you can be doing in your practice to be successful. The first thing that most accountants overlook is having a specific and strategic sales process and funnel, something that emphasizes their benefits, that ties them specifically to the niches that they're involved in, that leverage how they can become a profit and growth expert in their market and be the expert that they need to be and have that presence in the community. And then lastly, it's taking and recognizing that the bookkeeping and tax services are being commoditized, and in order for you to be profitable, you need to branch out and get more into the consultative work and do more of the interpretation for your clients and help them understand how best to use this information to make intelligent business decisions. So with all of that in mind, realize this: accounting success is universal. It's very simple. There's a turnkey process to all of this. You can simply follow a tried and proven method, and using the proper training and the proper support, accomplish what you're trying to do with your practice. You can do all or some of these services and be successful. I know many a bookkeeper that doesn't do taxes. I know many a tax preparer that doesn't do bookkeeping, but I also know many, many profitable people that are doing the bookkeeping and recognizing they've done the majority of the work. Why not just fill out the tax forms? That expertise goes very well together, but now you're seeing the numbers on a day-to-day basis. You're familiar, you're intimate with the numbers, what they mean, and their relationships with one another. Why not now learn how to communicate that information to a business owner so that they can intelligently use this information in their business. As your clients grow, you grow. As your clients grow, they become more dependent upon you. That is the true mission of a profit and growth expert. That being said, right now, reserve your time to speak with Scott McKinley, to work with him. Scott McKinley will then take that time to hear your experience, your background, your goals, what's unique to your situation, and what of those things that Universal Accounting, what do we offer? What can we do to maybe help you could come up in that discussion. So I wish you the best. I appreciate your time here today. I hope that you found this very helpful. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to us here at Universal Accounting. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone number, very simple, 801-265-3777. Visit us at universalaccounting.com. or also at universalaccountingschool.com. At either of those URLs, you can find the information you're needing to start and build your successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax practice, offering the consulting services as a profit and growth expert. Appreciate your time today. We're here at the top of the hour, so I hope that we were able to answer your questions. I don't have the ability to do Q&A, unfortunately, so I hope that this has been beneficial. Thank you for your time. Schedule your appointment with Scott McKinley, and let's take this to the next level. There's no reason to put this to chance. Make this the best year possible. Thank you and have a great day. Oh, and remember this, accounting success is universal, so take care. Bye-bye.